Dean Dobbins, welcome to our show, Business Profiles. It's an honor meeting you today.
Great being here.
Of course, you're doing some great work, and before I talk about your work with bullying, just tell us a little bit about your background and what you're currently doing professionally.
I am a martial artist for over 40 years, so I take the martial arts very serious. Yeah. I have over 400 students right now currently in my karate studio, which we call the dojo, and there's a cause why I'm teaching them, and I do it totally, we'll call it pro bono, for free. I don't charge $1 for these students.
Right, and today is a vibrant part of the community in Queens?
Yes. Yes.
And you continue to operate that and have many students under your wings?
Yes, many students. I have 9 black belts that help me. I can't be there every day.
Right.
And we all dedicate our time. So it's a community thing, and we dedicate our time 100% totally free.
Right. Today we're here to talk about a very serious problem, not only locally, but nationally, and that is bullying. Dean, explain to us exactly what is bullying.
To me, bullying is a predator that really is trying to push his weight around. And bullies come in packs. I always use the analogy of the little lamb and the wolves. So the wolves are the bullies. But a bully has to be with more than one person. He can't be by himself.
I didn't know that.
No, he cannot be by himself because he has that low self-esteem, and it has to be with his friends. Sometimes I say to my students, they have to be with their gangs, their crews. If they're not with those kind of people, they're not who they are.
I see. Now, I know that you've spent a lot of your time and energy combating this national problem of bullying. What makes you, not an expert, but what makes you somebody so knowledgeable in bullying?
Well, I don't consider myself an expert. I do consider myself a consultant in this.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was a person who was bullied. And because I was bullied, I saw it firsthand. And I was tormented in elementary school, junior high school, and high school. The martial arts helped me, though, through it.
I would think.
Sometimes you have to walk away. And my parents always said, don't take anybody's garbage, protect yourself.
Yeah.
And I took it at a later date to understand what they were saying. At 9 years old, when you get knocked down and kicked in the ear and you lose some hearing in your left ear, it's hard on you, and it can scar you. And I see many people get scarred by this. So I'm out there as a cause trying to help as best as I can.
According to Yale University, 25% of public schools report that bullying among kids occurs on a daily or weekly basis. That's a quarter of the population that's going to school. Bully victims are 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide than non-victims. So this is a serious problem.
Yes, it is. And you're absolutely right. Statistics, there's so many statistics out there. 4,400 teens last year committed suicide due to bullying.
Right. What are the different types of bullying? Because I know there are many.
So you have cyber. Cyber is one of the top that I see. You have physical, mental, and verbal. Verbal bullying, there's a lot of that going around. The cyberbullying is because we have the internet, and this whole internet thing is good and bad. Social media is good and bad.
Yeah.
It's how you use it.
Yeah.
But a lot of children, teens, and adults are getting bullied via the web.
Is there a way to protect yourself from cyber bullying?
Sure.
How might I do that?
So as a parent, I have parental control my kids could see, especially on their games and their phones and all. On the internet, you can set parameters. But what I see is there's keywords. And certain keywords you can use when somebody is getting bullied to maybe go to the authority or the teacher or the parent.
Yeah.
So we could use those key areas to focus on.
Now, most would assume that most bullying occurs amongst teens. However, I know a lot of adults also get bullied.
Yes. Yes.
Give us some insight on that.
In the workplace.
That's I never.
big issue. People don't see it. I've been part of that.
Have you?
You have a boss who's very vulgar. Fly in the mouth, they say, and the employee doesn't realize they can go to HR with that and take it to the next level, but they don't because they're scared of their jobs.
Right. I would also think that like sexual advancement or inappropriate sexual activity is also a form of bullying.
Yes, totally.
How does one protect themselves an adult who is being bullied on the job?
Document everything. That's the biggest thing. You have to document. Write the keywords. If you feel it's really going to the next level, that's why we have these human resource departments. Go to the HR.
Go to HR.
Right.
Share your story.
Yes.
Don't. Yeah, that's another issue. Why are people so resistant to talk about their bullying experience?
People, especially in the workforce, are very scared of their jobs. Economy is the way it is. They don't want to lose their jobs. In schools, some of the kids are scared to go to their parents or the teacher or the principal.
Do they think if they do that the bullying is going to get worse? Is that why they're afraid to go? Or are they afraid that it may make them look weak?
Two-part. They are afraid it's going to get worse because when a bully gets in trouble, he just keeps going. And then you have to put a stop to that. On the flip side, if they go to their parents, maybe their parents might think they're not telling the truth. And unfortunately, sometimes they just have to come forward.
You also mentioned that you're an author and you're currently working on a series of children's books.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that part of your life.
Sure. So I was never a published author before.
Yeah.
A family member inspired me to write a book. He wrote 7 books. And he inspired me to write a book. So one evening I just started typing. And I said, let me write a children's book about helping. Okay? Helping people in need. And it's about a little ant. The name of the book is The Ant in a Slippery Slope. And about a little ant helping the animals out of a slippery slope. And it has a great ending. I don't want to...
Yeah, you don't want to give it away. And the current book that you're working on, will that incorporate bullying?
Yes, and it's called Stop Bullying Today. And I have a campaign called Stop Bullying Today. And these stories about a boy's courage to come forward and confront the bully. And it's my story of how I was bullied 3 times. And it has a good twist to it.
Yeah. What do most children do when they're victims of bullying in schools? What do most of them do currently?
Supposed to go and report it to the teacher. If there's witnesses, that's perfect. The teacher's supposed to go to the principal goes to the parents. It usually doesn't happen that way. Because the children, especially young children, they're scared to go to their parents because they think they're doing something wrong.
Right. And
they really need to be educated. And I think this specific bullying epidemic we have, people really need to be educated.
Yeah, we recently had Morgan Fraser on our Profiles TV show, and she has an anti-bullying song out, and she was accompanied by the president of a national organization whose son had committed suicide because he was bullied at school over a period of a year. So how do you know if somebody who's being bullied might be a candidate to commit suicide?
And that's a good question. It's very hard to do.
Sure, I would think.
Because people keep it locked in. A person who is being bullied, it's very hard for them to come out. And sometimes, again, if they go to their parents, go to that, even their own doctor, when they're sitting there, they could talk to their doctor and say, hey, this is what's been going on. Sometimes they're just afraid to do it.
Yeah.
And these suicide rates are going up every year.
Right. Now, some of the signs of a student, let's say, is being bullied. Let's talk about them because I know that it's not something that goes unnoticed. You can see the change in the adolescent as he's being bullied. Some of them are signs of emotional stress. It's almost like going to combat, isn't it?
Yes,
It's
sure.
the same thing.
Sure. Especially with teens and kids, their grades start to slip.
That's the next thing. And also acting out in anger at home. Have to take out their frustration on someone, so they usually do it to someone close to like their mother, their father, their sisters and brothers. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely true.
Another way to notice that your child might be getting bullied is a change in mood, behavior, sleep, or appetite. Right? I mean, if a kid comes home from school all day and he don't want to eat dinner, something's not right.
That's it. Very accurate. I seen it in my own son.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
What
so
happened there?
my youngest son went through this period that very quiet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what it said.
A little nervous to tell us what happened, and then he spoke to my wife and I, and we handled it. We went right to the principal, and it was directed and it was stopped.
Another trigger that you may notice is withdrawal from friends and activities. That was the norm. they no longer want to do that. They don't want to play basketball anymore. You know, they don't want to hang out with their friends. They want to stay in their rooms and isolate themselves.
And the reason being is because that bully lurks. And they don't go to the basketball court because the bully's there, maybe playing handball or around them.
Right.
And they're afraid that he's going to come at them again.
Wow, wow. Interesting thought. Does bullying create or cause problems in later years, or does it end when the bullying ends?
It definitely scars people for life.
It does.
You have to seek professional help for that. Again, I'm just a consultant, the outsider looking at it, but I could tell you that the martial arts helps because 75% of my students were bullied.
Yeah, that was my next question. Talk a little bit about the martial arts school and your motivation for establishing it, almost like as an anti-bully vehicle, right? How instrumental are the martial arts in combating bullying?
So in 2008, I closed up my karate school in Bayside.
Yes.
And I decided to open a free community karate school in Fresh Meadows.
Yeah.
And I did it because that was the time my son got bullied. Also, my children were at a park, and there was a man asking for a kid's phone number, just walking around the park. So that kind of spooked me a lot. Yeah. I said, I need to keep my neighborhood safe. So I sent out a flyer, and I think we got 100 people at the first meeting. And I spoke about the martial arts, who was bullied, who is a bully. There was a lot of bullies at that meeting. And of course, I took some of them because you can help people. And in the martial arts, you have to have respect. You have to be humble. And you have to know how to have a medium and be calm. Now, for a young kid to be calm these days, it's, they're hyper. I'm a hyper guy. Yeah. But you know what? I learned how to be humble through my life.
In your opinion, what has been the keys to putting an end to some of your problems that you've seen?
Well, I've helped maybe over a dozen people with this bullying issue that they might have had in their families. The authorities sometimes don't want to help. So you have to take it to the next level.
So bullying is not a crime?
No. But sometimes the authorities don't feel it is as dangerous as they say it is. Yeah. What I always tell people to do is report it to your nearest precinct. Put it on record.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to even just put it on record, give the person's name, put it on record. If it's in school, go to your principal.
Right.
If the principal does not do anything, I say come to me. I have no problem picking up a phone.
And you'll confront the principal and say, this is the situation, why hasn't it been addressed?
Usually they say it's none of my business. You're not that family member.
Really?
But I introduce what I do.
Principals have said that to you?
I had one. Told
because
me it was
I
not
would
my
think
business.
they would want to be proactive in nipping it in the bud, I would think.
Every school has different rules, regulations.
Yeah.
But last year, and I had to get involved, there was a brand new student. Young lady. Another girl was jealous of her and broke her leg. Second day of class, brand new student. Broke her leg. And I happened to see the ambulance and the police, and I had some years of law enforcement in my career too. And I spoke to the precinct about it, and they had to take it to the next level because that's assault. Sure. Anybody who gets touched is assault.
But in many cases, if they're 14 or 15, what's the worst that's going to happen to the bully?
Because they're juveniles, they're nothing, basically. I mean, the girl was suspended for a week and came back. But again, the way I teach my students, I always bring the martial arts into it. Right. I always tell my teens, if somebody goes to hit you, defend yourself, but don't hurt them. Let them know that you mean business.
You mean business. Right. Yes. Very well said. From somebody that's been bullied, talk to us a little bit about what it feels like to be bullied at the beginning and also during the length of that harassment.
I'll use my high school experience. Okay. Southbourne High School, new school, great high school. My parents went to the school different times. Second day, in the gym, and a guy decided to grab me by my head and wanted to take my sneakers. So with my sneakers. And he told me he was going to cut my foot off. And I was a martial artist already. Yeah. So, but it was just not him. It was two guys. I was scared to do anything, believe it or not, as a martial artist because I didn't want to get in trouble. I figured if I hit him or hurt him. So I got out of his little move, but he tormented me for months. He just kept coming back, and I kept saying, I don't want to fight you. Just leave me alone. Just let's end this.
Yeah.
And basically, I had to stop him. After months, I had to stop him. But
how did you do that?
So there was one day he threw a punch at me.
Okay.
I defended myself, but he knew now you can't do this again, and I hurt him. And you know, deep down, it felt bad hurting somebody.
Okay.
Because I was not taught to hurt somebody.
Right.
And deep down, it really...
He didn't leave much choice.
Yes. And it finally stopped, and he was expelled out of school anyway. But this was a torment. You know, now I'm 51 years old. I'm okay now.
But it still affects you.
Yes.
And during that period of time before you ended up having a confrontation, what was your life like? I mean, did you bring it home with you? Was it with you 24/7?
Not 24/7, but there was times I didn't go to school, and my mother kept questioning me. And my dad passed away a long time ago, so my stepfather was my father authority, and he knew there was something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, you have to handle it. You have to handle this.
It's up to you to handle it, yeah.
He goes, I could go up there, but you need to handle it.
Do you think enough attention is given to the problem in society, in schools? Do you think we're addressing it, or not enough attention is given to it?
I look at it like this. I use the analogy. The old days we had to learn about sex education. They need to have bullying education in schools, which they don't. They don't address this, not by film. Maybe they speak about it. I've been asked to speak at many schools lately, which is a good thing. And I tell them about my story and how I can help.
Before you mentioned that you felt that the schools should have more educational programs just in general about the subject of bullying. But as a parent, or as parents, what should we be telling our kids, even if they're not bullied, about bullying?
We should give them statistics. We should speak to them. I, as a parent, my wife as a parent, we speak to our children once a week. We want to see how they're doing. We check in with them, we call it. You know, there's all this internet stuff they're on their phones, they're on their Xboxes, whatever my boys do. But we do check in with them. When I see one of my sons maybe look depressed, I ask him, is something going on in school? Mm-hmm, you know, sometimes they come home with a bad grade and they're depressed. But when I see something negative in my son, both boys, I'll ask the question, is a concerned parent. And I think other parents should do this.
Yeah, it's also, I would guess, very important to identify bullying as quickly as possible so it can be dealt with, as opposed to letting it fester for months, like in your case.
And it happens all the time. Again, parents are not educated. You know, they think bullying is vulgar words. It could be having a child be called stupid. That's a form of bullying. Or if they see a child out there, maybe he has feminine traits, they call him a sissy. You know, and
these are all keywords that we had discussed earlier.
Yes.
Let's focus on those those keywords. And the use of them. Those were two good examples. Give me some others.
Sometimes people call you, you know, you're MF. I hate to say those words.
Racial.
And
sexual. Vulgar.
These are key words. I could tell you about 1,000 words, but I'd rather not say it. But I did do an event 2 weeks ago, and we did a Q&A, and this little Afro-American girl got up and she says, is bullying because of somebody's skin color? And I said, very good question. And I was in front of 100 Afro-Americans. And I said, you know what? Some people might not like me because I'm an Italian, I'm American, I'm Caucasian, white. So you don't just have to be a certain color, I said. And I said, but we all need to get together and stop this. And you know what? They loved it. They loved it. Some of the parents want to go to the next level and talk about more about this because they really think they need to be educated on this.
Dean, explain to us the current state of affairs on buses and trains, city transportation. A lot of bullying is taking place there, isn't it?
Yes, I hear a lot of stories about bullying on buses, on trains. On the buses, I think that the drivers are told not to get involved, and I know the city has been putting a lot of money into buses for cameras. They're putting cameras.
That'll help.
And they're catching all that on tape, which is good. And the ones that are getting bullied on the buses aren't children. They're adults.
Right.
I think we live in a crazy, crazy world. If your color of your skin is different from somebody else, or you're dressed differently, or maybe you give somebody a dirty look, and there is a bully on the bus, he's going to take advantage of it. And I've seen so many YouTubes of people getting really beat up.
There's no place to run.
No, not at all.
Can't escape. In general, Dean, how does a student, avoid bullying? And what do they do in reaction to a bully when it first happens?
The best solution is to walk away, if you can. Okay? A bully is going to call you names, vulgar names, whatever names. He might push you. Walk away from it. If you can't walk away from it, you need to actually defend yourself. And if somebody throws a punch at you, I always tell somebody one simple thing. Just lift your hands. Don't cover your face, lift your hands. At least you know that you're not backing down. Because a bully wants to keep pushing you into the corner. So you need to get out of the corner. And sometimes enough is enough. If you're a martial artist, you'll know how to walk away from it without hurting somebody. If you're not a person in the arts, like myself before I was bullied, you would have to learn how to defend yourself other ways. Again, if your friends are there watching, they should help you. And I always say to my students, I always bring the martial arts into it, I always say to my students, if you're in the park and you see one of your brother or sister in karate person there, help them. Break it up.
Yeah, that always bothers me when you see somebody being bullied by 3 or 4 kids and nobody jumps in to help them. I guess they're afraid as well. Is that the case? And why don't more people come to their aid?
Yeah. People are scared to get involved. I am not. I still laugh to this day. About 2 months ago, I was coming off the 7 train in the subway, and these 2 big guys were arguing. About what? I'll never know. But people started getting around them, and I'm only 5'8", and I got in the middle, and I said, guys, don't we have enough turmoil in this world? I said, shake hands. And they were both in suits, shake hands. Yeah. And I found out because one guy bumped the other guy. So the other guy started bullying about it.
All right.
So I use that all the time.
Well, that's a good example. Through your efforts and people like Curtis Lewa and other people who have dealt with this problem, maybe we can make a change.
We're trying.
Yeah. Dean, through all of your efforts, if somebody wants to contact you specifically or personally, how might they do so?
Social media is one way. Dean Dobbins at Facebook. They can find me there. Also, the Okinawan Karate Do of New York is my karate dojo. You just type that on. Also, I run a campaign called Stop Bullying Today, sbt2013.webs.com, or they could call me at 347-272-8722.
Thanks a lot. I just want to say one more time, it's been a pleasure having you with us today, sharing your insights and experience regarding this major problem nationally of bullying. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mickey. Thank you again.
My pleasure. You bet.